Hello, this is Marianne, and for the next hour I will be reading from the April 2026 issue of the Jewish Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio reading service. Page 1, The Strength of Shared Leadership by Miriam Abramovich, as the issue of the Jewish Journal goes to print March 17th. Israel and the United States are engaged in a widening conflict with Iran, part of a broader moment of instability affecting countries across the region. In Israel, missile attacks have repeatedly sent civilians rushing to shelters, while violence and military strikes continue to ripple across the Middle East. Here in the United States, the terrifying attack at Temple Israel back in mid-March in suburban Detroit, the largest Reform congregation in the country, left many of us shaken. Protecting Jewish communal life now requires constant vigilance, preparation, and coordination. Across North America, communities are operating in what security experts describe as the most elevated and complex threat environment in modern history. Here in Buffalo, that work is carried forward through Secure Jewish Buffalo, our community-wide effort to strengthen security infrastructure, deepen coordination with law enforcement, and ensure that our synagogues and communal spaces remain places where Jewish life can flourish without fear. Just as important as physical security are the relationships that sustain our communities. The work of keeping Jewish life strong and secure depends on trusted partnerships across faith, civic, and elected leadership, alongside collaboration and learning across the federation system. Just a month ago, several members of the Buffalo Jewish Federation team joined colleagues from across North America at FedPro, the Jewish Federations of North America's premier gathering of professional leaders. Representatives from 141 federations, from Los Angeles to Winnipeg and New York to Louisville, came together to exchange ideas, sharpen tools, and wrestle with the complex challenges facing Jewish communities today. While at FedPro, I had the honor of serving on 2 panels, including a plenary conversation on leading in challenging times. To represent Buffalo, a proud mid-sized community, on the main stage was deeply meaningful. In rooms filled with leaders from across North America, it was clear that communities like ours are not defined by size, but by the strength of our relationships and the agility of our leadership. In Buffalo, we are nimble and bold, close enough to move quickly and connected enough to think courageously. It was striking to see how many of our peer communities are also being led professionally by women, not as a trend to be analyzed, but as a lived reality. At FedPro, that leadership was visible everywhere, on stages, in breakout rooms, and in quieter places where deep conversations and planning take shape. 5 extraordinary women from our Buffalo team also joined me, contributing alongside colleagues from across the continent. Watching them engaged in conversations with intelligence, steadiness, and wisdom was a source of deep pride. Experiences like FedPro invite reflection on the many forms leadership can take, and in this season, it is impossible not to think about another Miriam whose leadership shaped our people's story in lasting ways. As this issue reaches you, many of us will also be preparing for Passover, retelling the story of our journey from Mitzrayim, the narrow place, into expansiveness and possibility. At moments when the Jewish world feels strained or uncertain, Passover reminds us that our story has always moved through narrow places toward renewal. Miriam's leadership unfolds across the entire arc of the Passover story. As a child, rabbinic tradition teaches that she urges her parents not to abandon hope, insisting the future is not yet written. Years later, she gathers women with timbrels and leads them in song, giving voice to their redemption as it unfolds. And during the long years in the wilderness, the sage imagined a well that travels with the Israelites in her merit, sustaining them long after leaving Egypt. When Miriam dies, the Torah records the loss with striking simplicity. Miriam died there and was buried there. There was no water for the congregation. Her leadership was not confined to a single moment, but resonated throughout her lifetime. It safeguarded, possibly, gave shape to joy, and sustained the community as they wandered between miracles. Jewish communities are still shaped by that kind of leadership, and just as Miriam's voice was joined by others, leadership today is strengthened when women step forward together. I see it here in Buffalo every day, in remarkable partners such as Betsy Constantine, President and CEO of the Community Foundation for Greater Buffalo. When women lead together across institutions, bringing different perspectives, strengths, and networks, partnership itself becomes a powerful force for the entire community. In moments like the one we are living through now, that kind of leadership matters deeply. Even in times of uncertainty and conflict, Jewish history reminds us that the path forward has always been shaped by people who refuse to surrender hope, who sustain one another through difficulty, and who help communities move from narrow places toward something more expansive. Wishing you and your loved ones a Chag Pesach Sameach. Page 3. Hero partners with bar associations for Yom HaShoah commemoration. On Sunday, April 12th, the community is invited to observe Yom HaShoah, the annual day of remembrance for the 6 million Jewish victims of the Holocaust. Led by the Holocaust Education Resource Organization, this powerful gathering will take place at noon in the Hahn Auditorium of the Research Studies Building at Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center. This year's observance marks the 80th anniversary of the Nuremberg trials, a historic moment that reminds us that remembrance must be paired with responsibility. For the first time in history, Nazi leaders were held accountable in a court of law, establishing the enduring principle that crimes against humanity are punishable under international law. At a time when anti-Semitism and hate continue to rise globally, centering Yom HaShoah on the legacy of the Nuremberg trials underscores the enduring power of justice, truth, moral courage, and our collective obligation to defend them. This year's keynote speaker is Kristen McMahon, president of the Robert H. Jackson Center, a role she has held since 2019. McMahon earned her Juris Doctor from the Catholic University of America, Columbus School of Law, and holds bachelor's degrees in journalism, mass communication, and political science from St. Bonaventure University. Her career includes service as corporate counsel in Verizon's antitrust department and as a staff attorney at Hawley LLP in Washington, D.C. Hero is honored to partner with the Erie County Bar Association, the Minority Bar Association of Western New York, and the Women's Bar Association of the State of New York for this commemoration. Page 4. Finding Common Ground by Betsy Constantine. As President and CEO of Community Foundation for Greater Buffalo, I am fortunate to work for an organization whose mission is rooted in these values. Our role is to connect people across sectors, align ideas with resources, and help catalyze meaningful, lasting change in Western New York. Yet it is possible to ignore that many people today feel the country growing more divided. Cultural, religious, political, and generational differences can increasingly feel like barriers rather than opportunities for understanding. Too often, it seems we retreat into our own camps, speaking past one another instead of learning from one another. According to national polls, worries about polarization and division are top concerns among Americans, and the desire for a more united country continues to grow. That is why the Community Foundation was proud to partner with the Buffalo Jewish Federation on a series of programs designed to bridge divides and help people engage in conversations across ideological differences. One recent event, Courageous Conversations, featured the documentary Pain and Peace, produced by Rais Bioyan, a survivor of a hate crime who embarked on a remarkable journey to explore the roots of hatred and the depth of forgiveness. This extraordinary film is both moving and challenging. In it, Rais travels across North America speaking with people who have experienced hate and violence, and with some who have committed acts of violence themselves. His journey includes a stop in Buffalo following the racially motivated shooting at the Tops Market in 2022. His goal is not only to understand where hate comes from, but also to search for the ways it can be confronted, disrupted, and ultimately replaced with empathy and forgiveness. Watching the film and then engaging in conversation with panelists including Rais, Rabbi Alex Lazarus Klein, and Dr. Dan Trippi, co-founder of the Center for Christian Thought and Ethics, was a chance for our community to come together to examine these difficult issues. More importantly, it was a chance to build the mindset and the skills that can help to bring us together. The lessons were powerful for victims of hate and violence, as well as for those of us who find it increasingly difficult to connect with those who have differing views. The following day, I had the honor of introducing Rais at the Federation's annual leadership briefing and was able to again hear his message of empathy and forgiveness. In a media environment that often amplifies the loudest voices and the most extreme views, it can be easy to believe that division defines us. But what I see every day through the work of the Community Foundation tells a different story. Across Western New York, people are quietly collaborating, helping their neighbors, and working together to strengthen our community. These are the actions that we witnessed after the May 14th tragedy and in countless other interactions every day. These efforts rarely make headlines, yet their very ordinariness is a powerful reminder that goodwill is far more common than conflict. In our work addressing issues in our community, the Community Foundation often brings together those with competing perspectives or goals, including business, labor, government, nonprofit, and philanthropic leaders, to find solutions to long-standing challenges. We often discover that genuine listening and learning from each other reveals common ground and a place to begin finding solutions together. This work is not easy. It takes a commitment from all of us to approach these conversations with a willingness to listen and learn, not to persuade or change minds, but to better understand one another. It is something we can all do as individuals. When we choose curiosity over judgment and respect over retreat, we create the conditions for trust to grow, relationships to deepen, and share solutions to take root. I remain hopeful that we as individuals, as a community, and as a nation can continue creating spaces for these conversations and strengthening the connections that hold us together. Common ground does not require us to agree on everything. It asks only that we begin with our shared humanity and the belief that our future is stronger when we build it together. That is where hope lives and where lasting change begins. Page 6 has an announcement. Community Yom HaShoah commemoration. It will be held on Sunday, April 12th, 2026 from 12 to 2 p.m. at the Research Studies Building, Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center, 665 Elm Street. Page 7. One superintendent's commitment to learning and allyship. In this April issue featuring stories of partnership, there are few partners more important than those helping Federation reach and educate the next generation of leaders. One of those is Sabatino Simato, Superintendent of the Kenmore Tonawanda Union Free School District. Sabatino is a powerful example of how welcoming attitudes and approaching tough situations as opportunities for education can open many doors. The superintendent formally began his collaborative relationship with Buffalo Jewish Federation in 2024, but his story of connection to our local Jewish community goes back much further. Earlier in his career, Sabatino was a principal at Hodge Tech in the city of Buffalo. It was there he heard Holocaust survivor Joe Diamond, father of Wendy Weisbrot, manager of the Holocaust Education Research Organization. Subsequently, in his time at Hodge Tech, Sabatino heard Joe's story several times throughout the 2000s. He recalls Joe's positivity despite the horrors he survived, and 20 years later, Sabatino still feels the impact Joe made. Fast forward to now, Sabatino first met Lauren Bloomberg, director of HERO, during a mobile Museum of Tolerance demonstration for school district leaders. Shortly before this pivotal meeting, Sabatino had secured support from the Kenton board to hire a new position called the Director of School Culture. This role, Sabatino explained, would and still does work on issues such as suspension, safety, restorative practices, and better awareness of the diverse cultures that make up the student body. Dina Ferraraccio filled that important role, and after being awed by the MMOT, it stands for Mobile Museum of Tolerance, Sabatino gave Dina the go-ahead to start scheduling it for Kenton schools. Since then, Lauren and Sabatino have established a strong professional relationship, one of humility and deep respect. When an anti-Semitic incident occurred at Kenmore West High School at the beginning of this academic year, Lauren knew she had the support to reach out to the school's principal to offer guidance. The thing I love about Lauren and Federation is that there's no agenda other than to help communities however they can, Sabatino said, acknowledging that though the district has come a long way, there's more work to be done. And by offering that help to Ken West, the school administration is now equipped with best practices for reporting incidents, and most recently the school hosted survivor Grigory Chershevsky, his daughter and his wife, who shared with about 300 students his history of survival thanks to the bravery of others. This special story comes full circle when earlier this year Ken West's theater students performed the play I Never Saw Another Butterfly, a play derived from actual writings and drawings by children held at the Terezin concentration camp. To inspire the student performers and help them understand the true history behind the play, they met with Wendy before their performances, where she told her father's story. The very same Joe Diamond who left a lasting impression on Superintendent Simato so many years ago. The MMOT continues to tour around Kenton middle schools and high schools, and Heroes Kindness Suitcase Initiative has already been in Kenton's elementary schools for a year, the very first district to embrace the research. Sabatino attended the Federation Superintendents Conference recently and noted the messaging shared by Federation staff was intentional and inspiring. He's glad to have Federation and Hero as partners in his corner, and we are equally thankful for our relationship with such an open-minded, deeply caring district leader. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Jewish Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Page 8 has an announcement. PJ Library April events. PJ and Me will be held on Sunday, April 19th from 3 to 4 p.m. and PJ Pause Shabbat on Friday, April 24th from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. For more information or to register, please visit buffalojewishfederation.org/link-gatherings. Page 10. Facing Rising Antisemitism with Strength, Support and Jewish Joy by Mike Steckloff. A few weeks ago at Shabbat dinner at Hillel of Buffalo, I stood in a crowded room as students sang loudly, welcoming Shabbat. There was laughter, spirited debate, hugs between first years and seniors, and that unmistakable energy that comes when young adults feel fully at home. Earlier that same week, one of those students had experienced anti-Semitic harassment on campus. As the executive director at Hillel of Buffalo, I counsel students through difficult moments like this. The student told me he had considered staying away, lying low, keeping quiet, making himself smaller. Instead, he chose to show up. By the end of the evening, he was laughing with friends, smiling broadly. That moment captures the tension of this time. Anti-Semitism is rising, and Jewish joy is rising with it. Across the country, and especially since October the 7th, 2023, anti-Semitism has become more visible and more present in daily life. The American Jewish Committee's recently released State of Anti-Semitism in America 2025. It can be located at ajc.org/antisemitism report 2025. It reflects what many of us already sense. Antisemitism continues to increase, and Jewish young adults are experiencing it at significant levels, both online and in person. Buffalo is not immune to national trends. Jewish students at the universities and colleges in the Buffalo area have encountered troubling incidents, anti-Semitic rhetoric, vandalism, and moments where Jewish identity has been minimized or threatened as controversial. These experiences are painful and unsettling. They affect not only students but also families and the broader community who care deeply about them. And yet, there is another story unfolding on our campuses. Jewish life in Buffalo is strong. Shabbat tables are full. Students are leading holiday celebrations, participating in Jewish learning fellowships, mentoring one another, and stepping into leadership roles with pride. They are building friendships rooted in shared identity and shared purpose. They are choosing connection over isolation. These choices are the result of intentional community support. Antisemitism often seeks to isolate. It pressures students to question whether it is safer to hide a Star of David necklace, to avoid mention in Israel, or to skip Jewish gatherings altogether. Sometimes antisemitism is blatant, other times it is a joke that crosses the line, a hostile social media thread, a campus space that suddenly feels less welcoming. In those moments, the most powerful counterforce is belonging. At Hillel of Buffalo, our mission is not only to respond when incidents occur, but to ensure that Jewish students can live proudly, safely, and meaningfully as Jews throughout their college experience. We remain in close communication with university leadership and community partners to advocate for students and prioritize their well-being. But advocacy alone is not enough. Vibrant Jewish life is itself a response. Jewish joy is not denial of reality. It is resilience, continuity. When students gather for Shabbat, study Jewish texts, celebrate holidays, or travel to Israel, they are not ignoring the challenges around them. They are affirming something deeper, that Jewish identity is a source of strength, not something to be diminished. And this is where our Buffalo Jewish community plays an essential role. Our students draw courage from knowing they are part of something larger than a campus climate. They feel it when community members express their support, when alumni mentors them, when donors invest in Jewish programming, when rabbis and volunteer leaders reach out simply to say, "We are here for you." The student who almost skipped Shabbat that evening, he now helps welcome others at the door of our space at events. His confidence was strengthened not only by his peers, but by the broader community that makes Jewish life in Buffalo possible. Antisemitism is on the rise and we must remain vigilant, but we must also double down on building joyful, visible, unapologetic Jewish life. You can help too. Support campus Jewish programming, reach out to us, partner with Hillel and other Jewish organizations to ensure that our young adults know they are not alone. Buffalo's Jewish community has always been defined not only by what we endure, but also by what we build. Right now, what we are building is resilience. We are building leadership. We are building joy. And that joy, loud, proud, and rooted in connection, is stronger than hate. If you care about the future of Jewish Buffalo, now is the time to lean in, support our students, invest in Jewish life. Together we can ensure that even in challenging times, Jewish joy does not dim, it grows. There's an announcement on page 10. The Summer Celebration Golf Tournament will be held on Monday, July the 20th, 2026 at Transit Valley Country Club on 8920 Transit Road, East Amherst. Proceeds will benefit Secure Jewish Buffalo. The registration is $250 per golfer. For more information, please visit buffalojewishfederation.org/summer-celebration. Page 15. Dignity Grows, Helping Neighbors in Need. Dignity Grows, a program of the Buffalo Jewish Federation, responds to a critical public health need by reducing barriers to health, confidence, and self-esteem. Through this initiative, volunteers come together to assemble and distribute free, discreet, reusable totes filled with essential personal hygiene supplies for people in our community who need them most. Some of our neighbors feel a sense of helplessness and embarrassment because they lack access to basic necessities, whether by poverty, stigma, or lack of education. The consequences prevent women and girls from going about their daily life. Girls avoid school during their periods and miss critical learning time. Women miss work, which can lead to lost wages. All of these consequences further compound the cycle of poverty. More than 40% of American women have struggled to afford monthly period products, resulting in missed school and job loss. To answer this call, in 2025, Dignity Grows Buffalo distributed more than 2,000 totes. Any community group can host a tote packing party. These totes are then distributed to partner organizations in our community, such as Jewish Family Services of Western New York, Family Solutions Center, Sylvia's House, Inc., Haven House, Compass House, Rahama, Hispanics United of Buffalo, Bethesda International World Harvest Church, Durham AME Zion Church, First Shiloh Baptist Church, Pinnacle Community Services, None Like You, We Care, Family Education Outreach. There are two announcements on page 15. Midlife Engagement Shabbat Dinner will be held on Friday, April 17th at 7 p.m. To register, please visit buffalojewishfederation.org/link-gatherings. Wise Women Gathering will be held on Thursday, April 16th from 7 to 9 p.m. Wise Men Gathering will be held on Sunday, April 19th, 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Register in the same link at buffalojewishfederation.org/link-gatherings. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Jewish Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Page 18. Let Pesach linger a little longer. Pesach is among our most beloved holidays. It ushers in spring, renewal, and the retelling of our people's journey from slavery to freedom. Around many Seder tables, familiar symbols anchor us in that story. The Shra lamb trunk and the Betzah egg resting on the Seder plate, reminders of sacrifice, continuity, and the cycles of life. At this same season, our Christian neighbors celebrate Easter. In Christian theology, Jesus is understood as the Paschal Lamb, and many Easter tables feature lamb and brightly decorated eggs, which are symbols that also evoke springtime and rebirth. While the meanings diverge in important ways, the shared imagery reflects how deeply this season speaks to themes of renewal across traditions. In Israel, Pesach carries its own textures and flavors. Though the structure of the Seder is familiar, each community adds distinctive customs. In the south, in towns like Jerusalem, Pesach can feel like a neighborhood-wide celebration. Doors are open, the aromas of grilling meats drift through the streets. It is not unusual to be handed a plate and invited to join a family's meal. The sense of communal joy is palpable. Culinary traditions reflect the diversity of the Jewish people. In northern and central Israel, many seders feature beloved Ashkenazi dishes such as matzah, bal soup, gefilte fish with horseradish, kugels, brisket, and the sweet apple walnut charosset that tastes like generations past. In southern communities with Moroccan, Yemenite, and broader Sephardic roots, tables often showcase roasted chicken with garlic confit, lamb or fish briked with lemon and fresh herbs, and richly spiced vegetables. While charosset may resemble that of Ashkenazi neighbors, many Sephardic households partake of kitniyot, which are legumes, rice, and corn during Pesach, foods which are traditionally avoided in Ashkenazi homes. The celebration does not end with the first Seder. In Israel, the seventh day of Pesach, Charom Shel Pesach, is observed as a full Yom Tov. It commemorates the splitting of the Sea of Reeds and the Song of the Sea, the Israelites' triumphant hymn of liberation. In many Sephardic communities, festive meals on this day highlight stuffed vegetables, slow-cooked meats, and abundant fresh herbs, marking the spiritual crescendo of the holiday. And then comes Mimuna. Mimuna, a joyous North African Jewish celebration held on the evening immediately following Pesach, marks the return of Hametz and the sweetness of freedom. Throughout southern Israel and increasingly occurring across the country, families open their homes wide to neighbors, friends, and even strangers. Tables are laden with confections, and most famously, moufleta, thin, round, leavened pancakes, quickly prepared and generously spread with butter and honey or jam. The gesture is as meaningful as the food itself, an embodiment of hospitality, blessing, and shared joy. In Jerusalem, one can even find Mimuna celebrations spilling into the stalls of Machaneh Yehuda market, where music, laughter, and sweets fill the air. What began as a North African custom has become a beloved national festival. Perhaps there is something here for us in Buffalo. In Jewish communities across America, we faithfully gather for our Seders and observe the sacred days of Pesach. But what if we allowed the spirit of the holiday to linger? What if we embraced Acharon Shel Pesach with renewed intention and even brought a taste of Mimuna into our community life? Pesach teaches that freedom is not a single moment but a journey. By extending our celebration, by opening our doors a bit wider, by sharing food and song, by welcoming one another in, we allow that journey to continue shaping us. May the sweetness of redemption remain on our tongues and in our hearts long after the last crumbs of matzah are gone. Page 19. BBYO launches a new chapter in Buffalo. In January, BBYO alumni gathered ahead of a parent information session celebrating the launch of a new BBYO chapter in Buffalo. BBYO is an international teen organization that aims to involve more Jewish teens in meaningful Jewish experiences. Chapters all over North America and in dozens of countries provide identity enrichment opportunities and leadership development experiences. BBYO has been around for nearly 100 years, and for many in Jewish Buffalo, their participation as teenagers holds fond memories. That nostalgia-filled and evening filled with excitement and renewed energy as alumni reconnected and expressed enthusiasm for supporting this next chapter of BBYO in our community. It was clear that the connections formed through BBYO years ago remain strong today. With the support of two dedicated community members, Ken Polk and Adam Fogel, Federation looks forward to hosting a series of alumni gatherings in the future to keep those connections alive. Keep an eye out for more details to come. Later that same evening, engaged parents, Jewish leaders, and excited teens filled the room to learn about what a BBYO Buffalo chapter would look like. Professionals shared a strong message to the group that the teens themselves drive what the group can do together. Formalizing a local chapter remains in an early stage phase with forward momentum. Next article, Illuminating Connections, Dalí and Sean in a Menorah Conversation. While Salvador Dalí and Ben Shahn worked during the same modern era, there is no documented proof that they shared a close personal relationship. Yet at the Jewish Museum of Buffalo, co-located within the sanctuary of Temple Beth Zion, when their works are on display, an intriguing visual dialogue begins to emerge, particularly in their menorahs. That's the thing. The instant your eye catches a relationship you did not expect to see. The menorah, a central symbol of Jewish continuity, resilience, and light, offered both artists a powerful structure through which spiritual identity could be expressed in contemporary form. In a museum setting devoted to education and close looking, these works do not sit silently as ritual objects. They become sculptural statements whose meanings sharpen through comparison. An original Salvador Dalí Menorah HaShalom is on view at JMB. Though smaller than the monumental bronze menorah installed at Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv, it reflects Dalí's engagement with Jewish symbolism and biblical themes. At its center is a carved face believed to echo Ben Shahn imagery, including his Book of Job series. In turn, Shahn's menorah includes a crowned face that recalls Dalí's crown mark, along with stylized curls that may evoke Dalí's mustache. These visual echoes are subtly ingenious yet striking. The close connections of their mid-1960s works invite museum questions. Whether these similarities reflect respect for different approaches, realism versus surrealism, working shared spiritual exploration, or a more intentional artistic exchange remains open. To examine this possibility, JMB director Jill Abramovich Gutman has met with Dalí scholars and Laura Katzman, a leading Ben Shahn scholar, continuing research into these connections. Come visit us and join the thousands who have toured these spaces and decide for yourself whether they stand as parallel visions or as artists nodding or perhaps tipping their hats to one another. Page 20, there's an announcement. Buffalo Jewish Federation proudly presents the Shabbat Effect book talk with Alan Morinis, founder of the Musar Institute. It will be held on Wednesday, April the 15th, 2026, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Books available to purchase at time of registration for $30. RSVP at bit.ly/MUSSAR book talk. Page 22. Hero calling all upstanders. The Holocaust Education Research Organization is now accepting applications for its 2 annual Upstander Awards, the Sophia Weffer Upstander Award and the ABEC Student Upstander Award. The Sophia Weffer Upstander Award, established in 2018, honors local Holocaust survivor Sophia Weffer, who has dedicated her life to building a more just and compassionate world. Sophia inspires individuals to act as global citizens, assists those in need, and to stand up in the face of adversity. This prestigious award recognizes an individual who has made a significant impact in the Buffalo region by promoting equality, social justice, and human rights. Hero defines an upstander as an individual residing or working in Western New York who uses their voice to stand up for others' rights, confront injustice, inequality, or unfairness at the local, state, or national level. Last year's recipient was Herbert L. Bellamy Jr., CEO of Bellamy Enterprises and the Black Achievers, Inc. The legacy of award-winning author Gerda Weissman Klein and her friend Abek Feigenblatt will once again be honored through the Abek Student Upstander Award. This award recognizes young individuals who demonstrate exceptional courage, kindness, and commitment to justice in their communities. The award is named in memory of Abek Feigenblatt, a young artist whose selfless acts provided vital aid to Gerda while she was imprisoned in Nazi labor camps. Gerda Weissman Klein, a Holocaust survivor and a cherished member of the Buffalo community, dedicated her life to humanitarian efforts, earning numerous accolades, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. Klein's adult children established the Abek Student Upstander Award to honor students who embody the characteristics of an upstander, someone who speaks out against injustice, inequality, or unfairness. 2 students will be selected to receive this award, 1 middle school student and 1 high school student. Student nominees should demonstrate a commitment to standing up for others, making a meaningful impact in their schools or communities, and reflecting the selfless spirit of Abek. Nominations should be submitted to bit.ly/ABEK Award 2026 by April 15th. And nominations for the Sophia Weffer Upstander Award can be submitted to bit.ly/VEFFER Upstander 2026, also by April 15th. There is an announcement on page 22. Page 23, Women's Network at TBT hosts dinner program with Ellen Steinfeld. One opportunity worth special attention is an evening with distinguished artist Ellen Steinfeld, hosted by the Temple Beth Tzedek Women's Network on Thursday evening, April 16th at 6:15 at TBT. One of Western New York's most accomplished contemporary artists, Ellen works span sculpture, painting, watercolor, handmade paper, and stained glass, and they have elevated places across our region, New York State, and beyond for decades. Within Jewish Buffalo, Ellen's sculpture found the Fountain of Wishes at the entrance to Temple Beth Tzedek pays tribute to the late TBT member and Buffalo Jewish Federation President Leslie Schuman Kramer. Across the region, Ms. Steinfeld's works enhance the landscape at Roswell Park, Buffalo General Hospital, the Golisano Children's Hospital, Buffalo Public Library, and Daemen University, among other notable locations. Her art is part of the collections of the Buffalo AKG Art Museum, Birchfield Penney Art Center, Castellani Art Museum, alongside other prominent museums, hospitals, and corporate environments across the United States. Please learn more about her work at ellensteinfeld.com. Purim with a southern twist at Keilat Or Zion. Preparing for Purim at Keilat Or Zion is truly a congregational effort. Menus were planned Mishloach manot items purchased, treats packed, and deliveries made to every member of the community. Volunteers stepped up at every stage, embodying the spirit of the holiday before it even began. As the fast of Esther ended on Purim evening, the celebration began with a joyful L'chaim pizza and plenty of laughter over the creative costumes. Rabbi Shlomo read the Megillah that night and again the next morning with deep expression and emotion. And how was Haman's name blotted out? With the enthusiastic shaking of pasta-filled gragers, of course. For years, KOT has upheld the tradition of using pasta gragers, keeping the boxes intact so they can be donated afterward, along with other non-perishable items, to feed more WNY. By the end of Purim, the collection barrel in the foyer was overflowing. The second Megillah reading was followed by a festive Seudah with a southern flair. The menu featured pulled brisket sandwiches with house barbecue sauce, coleslaw, baked beans, corn on the cob, and of course plenty of hamantaschen. Between bites the rabbi shared stories and the congregation sang Himeros Purim parodies composed by Ten Steinberg. It was a joyful and memorable celebration, one that reflected KOT's love of davening, learning, celebrating, and giving back. In that spirit, the congregation recently delivered much-needed supplies to the Foster Closet at McKinley Mall, which serves foster families throughout western New York. Page 24 has an announcement. The Center for Jewish Life Jewish Women's Circle invites you to a mega challah bake, tastes from around the world. It will be held on Thursday, April 23rd, 2026 at 7 p.m. at the Center for Jewish Life, 757 Hopkins Road. It will be $18 per person. RSVP, jewishbuffalo.com. Page 25. TBZ Religious School, a passionate mission we love. It has been some time since the last update on the exciting developments at the new Temple Beth Zion Religious School, and the leadership is delighted to share the growth and joy witnessed this year. The mission remains simple and heartfelt: to create a place where students are genuinely excited to come each week while nurturing Jewish values of kindness, patience, grace, and service to others. Each week, families entrust the school with their most precious treasures for 2 hours. The faculty and staff take seriously the responsibility to help students learn, grow, and build the foundations of a meaningful Jewish life. From matzel tots for the youngest leaders through bar mitzvah preparation for preteens, along with family days, the student-led Purim Spiel, and many other programs, the curriculum is designed to spark curiosity, connection, and joy. It has been wonderful to see students arrive each week, smiling, eager to learn, and forming friendships that will hopefully last a lifetime. Dedicated teachers thoughtfully meet each child at their individual level, encouraging exploration of spirituality and God in ways that are age-appropriate and engaging. The school is especially proud of the progress students are making in Hebrew, with the addition of weekly in-school Hebrew classes. There have been tremendous strides. When Aleph Champ was introduced, it was described as a path to becoming superstars, and it is inspiring to watch so many students soar from level to level. Young Israel, a Jew at Omaha Beach on D-Day. A generational relationship to an American Jewish soldier during World War II has inspired a one-of-a-kind program. The Young Israel of Greater Buffalo will hold a unique event on April the 8th, the seventh day of Passover, to mark the yahrzeit of Mr. Murray Kay. Who was this man, and why should we take specific note of his yahrzeit at this time? Mr. Kay was an American soldier, one of the thousands who assaulted the shore of Omaha Beach on D-Day, June the 6th, 1944, 82 years ago. Very few of these men came away from that day alive or uninjured. To commemorate the yahrzeit of this courageous man and to recognize his contribution to our nation, Young Israel is holding a special Kiddush following Musaf for the seventh day of Pesach, beginning around 11:30 a.m. The entire community is welcome to attend. The Kiddush will be sponsored by Moshe and Sarah Haimovitz and their children, Ari and Elisheva Haimovitz Roisman. Ari is a grandson of Mr. Kay, and he will share with us his personal knowledge of this remarkable man. As well, Rabbi Avi Oking will speak about how the subject of the Kiddush connects with the Torah reading for this day, the splitting of the Sea of Reeds. Announcement on page 25. No place for hate, family service and Shabbat dinner, Friday, April 17th at 805 Delaware at the Temple Beth Zion. There will be a family service at 5:30 p.m. and a Shabbat dinner at 6:15 p.m. Please RSVP on bit.ly/Shabbat dinner, April 17. Page 26. CJL introduces 4-part course exploring Judaism, a universal message. What values enable a good life? What principles shape a just and compassionate society? A new 4-part course at the Center for Jewish Life invites the community to explore Judaism's timeless ethical message. For all humankind delves into foundational Jewish texts and uncovers the spiritual path Judaism offers everyone. Participants will examine how Jewish values guide family life, uncover the role of education, and understand what it takes to achieve Judaism's vision of a more perfect and peaceful world for all humanity. The first lesson, The Message of Abraham, explores Judaism's universal concern for its very beginning and explains what ethical monotheism means in practice. Lesson 2, Is Morality Obvious?, tackles the value of innate human dignity, where it comes from, and the trouble with pinning new sources to a timeless moral principle. In Lesson 3, Educating Children, the discussion turns to family and education, asking, is raising kids all about career prep? What should we teach our children at school and at home? See the critical purpose that makes family life so central to Judaism's universal morality. The final session, It Will Get Better, presents history not as a cycle of chaos, but as a purposeful journey where every moral choice is a stepping stone to a harmonious future. The course will be held Mondays, April the 27th, May 4th, 11th, and 18th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at the Center for Jewish Life and instructed by Rabbi Lazer Lapkovsky. A hot dinner will be served at each class. The course is free and all are welcome. For more information, call 716-639-7600. Connecting Passover to JFS values and work. As Passover approaches and Jews around the world gather for Seders, the familiar proclamation, "Let all who are hungry come and eat," will once again be heard. While this statement can be interpreted in many ways, Jewish Family Services embraces its meaning in a very literal and compassionate sense. Although JFS may not always provide physical food to those it serves, the agency offers vital support without judgment to people and families seeking help in times of need. As Buffalo's only Jewish social services agency, JFS takes pride in grounding its work in Jewish values such as Ha-Lachma Anya, opening its doors to those who find themselves in need of assistance. This foundation in Jewish tradition has prepared JFS to serve the Buffalo and Western New York communities with care that is both compassionate and responsive to the unique needs of each client. Teachings such as "Let all who are hungry come and eat" provide ethical guidance for JFS staff and volunteers as they confront complex challenges within the community. Through collaboration with local Jewish organizations and by providing access to services such as housing and social service benefit assistance, JFS embodies an ethos of inclusion and service. Especially in challenging times, the moral responsibility to care for all neighbors remains central to its mission. As families gather around their Seder tables this year, JFS encourages reflection on how each person can help those in need within their own community. While Passover celebrates the journey from slavery to freedom, it also reminds the community of the enduring obligation to ensure that all who are hungry may come and eat. JFS is here to help. Call 716-883-1914 for support. Page 27. Shared leadership and shared purpose at Buffalo Hadassah. At a time when many organizations rely on a single president to steer the ship, Buffalo Hadassah has embraced a different model. Its 11-member leadership team rotates responsibility for crafting agendas and leading monthly meetings, creating a sense of shared ownership. Some meetings are held in person and others virtually, a flexibility that has boosted attendance and allowed traveling members to remain active as participants. Many board members also serve in additional roles within the chapter. Together, this dynamic team has helped make Buffalo Hadassah one of the most active chapters in the northern New England region. That spirit of engagement extends beyond the boardroom. Buffalo Hadassah members are deeply woven into the fabric of Jewish Buffalo, active in their synagogues, serving on other Jewish communal boards, and showing up across the community. Recently, members volunteered at the Buffalo Jewish Federation's Super Sunday philanthropy event, demonstrating their commitment to collective responsibility. Jan Leibovitz, Hadassah Mitzvah chairperson, exemplifies that dedication. She travels to collect donated items from members, stores them in her personal garage, and delivers them to Jewish Family Services and other nonprofit organizations, ensuring that generosity translates into tangible support. Ellen Caton coordinates ticket sales for Hadassah members to productions at Jewish Repertoire Theater. The recent performance of Sheltered drew strong Hadassah attendance. Many members also plan to attend an upcoming presentation by artist Ellen Steinfeld at Temple Beth Tzedek. Looking ahead, program chairs Marlene Katzel and Maxine Seller are preparing spring and summer activities. On April 23rd, members will enjoy a special tour of Mark Mayo's Against the Grain, an exhibition highlighting Buffalo's historic grain silos, with a follow-up silo tour planned for June. Arrangements are also underway for Seneca Chief, a canal-side panoramic display. For information about upcoming programs, email mkatzel@me.com. Buffalo Hadassah's monthly virtual book club continues to encourage thoughtful conversation. In March, members will discuss Hotel Cuba by Aaron Hamburger, led by Phyllis Steinberg. April selection, 33 Place Brugma by Alice Austin will be facilitated by Johan Alexander. Plans are also underway to host playwright Liba Weinberg for a conversation about her latest work, The Matriarchs. For book club information, contact Phyllis M. K. Steinberg at gmail.com. Through shared leadership, cultural engagement, and hands-on mitzvah work, Buffalo Hadassah continues to demonstrate that when responsibility is shared, community thrives. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Jewish Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Page 34, In Loving Memory, Remembering Jonathan Dundies. Jonathan Dundee is a respected leader at University at Buffalo and throughout Western New York, died late February. We honor John's memory by sharing excerpts of two of the eulogies delivered at his funeral at Temple Beth Tzedek on Tuesday, February the 24th. Leo Dundee's son. There is no easy way to memorialize your father, let alone someone who lived the life that did. The enormity of the tasks is daunting. Dad was fiercely loyal. Once you were his friend, there was nothing he wouldn't do. Your purpose became his purpose, and he would see it through whether you thought it could be done or not. Along the journey he might fight with you, but he would always fight for you. As I have had the chance to think about Dad's unwavering loyalty, I have been searching for how to correlate Dad's core principle to the legacy he has created, and it did not crystallize for me until I looked out at all of John's friends and family coming together to celebrate his life. Unification through common purpose is the legacy of Dad's 55 years in Buffalo. Mishlei Proverbs 3:27 reads, "Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it is in your power to do it." John did not read those words, he lived them. Dad believed that success was not meant to be hoarded but shared. In every business venture, every partnership, and every opportunity there always was a deeper purpose. John believed in Buffalo, and he believed in all of us, so he gave of himself, not for recognition, not for applause, but because he believed. He believed that through collective effort we could make the home he chose a better place, and we have. Dad was the loving son of Leo and Sharon, and the quintessential older brother to Allison. He loved them all so very much, even from afar when he moved from Queens to Buffalo at 16 to attend UB and make his own way in the world. His journey in Buffalo and in life changed forever when he met my mom, Marcy. For John, Marcy was home. They shared a 35-year love story to be envied by all. She was the driving force in so much of what Dad would call getting stuff done. I am buoyed by the prospect of them reuniting in love for eternity. A large part of who I am is directly tied to having been John's son. For of what I like about myself, I learned from being around him. Not only did I grow up on construction sites, in clubhouses, locker rooms, or dugouts, I got a first-hand master class in what it means to be a friend, husband, son, and father. I carry these lessons in my heart and in my mind every day. Watching Dad and my sons, his boys, was the best part of any day. He loved them separately, collectively, and infinitely, and they in return treated him as a rock star and near mythic figure. There was nothing that Pop couldn't do, that there was certainly nothing wouldn't give to make them smile. The Talmud teaches a righteous person's legacy lives on through their deeds. If this is true, Dad's presence will remain in this community for generations. Every act of kindness, done in his spirit, every decision made because of his example, every hand extended in generosity is his living legacy. Arin Dandy's yelling daughter. My father was a complex and fascinating figure who meant so much to so many people in his community. I have spent my entire life hearing that question, are you related to John Dandy? When I say yes, by far the reaction I get is some version of, he's your dad? He is one of my favorite people in the world. I am amazed by the sheer number of lives he touched, as well as his ability to nurture friendships with so many, even long before we were all connected by our smartphones. He loved to start and carry on traditions, and I admire his depth of caring for those in his circle. We are here to say goodbye to my dad, a man who was larger than life and always taking action. I often hear about how Dad's work in the community has helped individuals and groups from all walks of life. He was always a person who celebrated others' successes and came to the aid of those going through dark times. Tikkun Olam means repairing the world, a philosophy that my father embodied through his acts of service to those in need. He never acted in pursuit of accolades or recognition. He simply saw ways in which he could help and made things happen. I see his influence everywhere I look in the city. Do you love the sea otter exhibit at the Buffalo Zoo? Thank my dad. Do you bring your kids or grandkids to explore and more? He loved that organization and seeing it through the eyes of Luca and Leif. Did you renew your Shia's season tickets? My dad was there too. When I think about my dad and his legacy, I don't have to look far at all. He is everywhere. If my dad touched your life or your organization, pay it forward. Make your own portion of this community better in whatever way you can. Tikkun Olam, repair the world. Recognize what you can do to make the world a better place and take action just like that. Dad's final days were not easy, but they reminded us how much fight he had within him. He fought and defied the odds and was able to say goodbye to us. He gifted us the peace of knowing his own wishes. So I will leave you with Dylan Thomas. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage against the dying of the light. Rabbi Sarah Rish. There is an ancient Jewish teaching from 2000 years ago. In a place where no one is standing up, strive to be the one who leads. In all areas of his life, Jonathan was the one who stood up. He stood up to lead. He stood up to provide. And he stood up for anyone he met who could use some help. There are many layers to Jonathan's life. Beginning with his public service, Western New York has been forever changed thanks to his involvement. He was tenacious in his work ethic, strategic in his thinking, and generous with his time and resources. Jonathan believed in Buffalo. He believed in the people here and your drive to do extraordinary things in your respective fields. He had a vision for this city, that Buffalo could be a tapestry, diverse and vibrant, inclusive of sports, dining, healthcare, higher education, nature, and the arts. We appreciate greatly his commitment to Buffalo's Jewish community. He served on the board for his congregation, Temple Beth Tzedek, and was also a pillar of support for Chabad and Jewish student life at the university at Buffalo. Part of his magic was his ability to make connections. He believed in synergy, not competition. Because he served in leadership roles in so many organizations and knew so many people, he had something of an eagle-eye view, able to see how the pieces could fit together. John cherished time with his wife Marcy, drinks on the porch, conversations at the end of long days. John and Marcy shared a deep love of community involvement and were very much a power couple in that way. He admired her for being caring, generous, warming, and loving. They were true soulmates. When he lost her, so suddenly almost 8 years ago, his sorrow was deep, so much of his joy felt lost. As he traveled the slow and painful road of grief, one of the ways he endured was by helping others. He found solace in bringing joy to others and helping them succeed. Where many might have become bitter, Jonathan courageously leaned into life and made the very most of his time. Even beyond family, he quietly took care of those in need. He was close with his neighbors, helping in unexpected ways. He did not do it for recognition. Jonathan was guided by his values to do mitzvot, the sacred acts commanded to us as Jews, often the deeds that make someone else's life better. For all of his diverse interests and involvement, he could be distilled to a simple principle expressed in the book of Deuteronomy: do what is right and good in the sight of God. He ultimately saw his life as a quest for meaning and each day as an opportunity to make a difference. In remembrance, the following individuals in our community passed away during the period between February 16th and March 16th, 2026. May their memories forever be a blessing, and may their loved ones be comforted among the mourners of Zion. Betty Baker, Marcia Bettigol, George Clement, Anita Cohen, Jonathan A. Dandis, Marcia Fenton, Thelma J. Glazer, Jeffrey Glockstein, Geraldine S. Liederman, Eileen Levine, Louis Levi, Ruth Wiseman Spivak. Page 36, Not the Last Word, Planting Seeds by Harvey Sanders. To me, partnership is not short-term, that would be transactional. A true partnership is a long-term relationship that is like planting a seed and nurturing it until it becomes a tree. There is a story in the Talmud that drives this message home for me. It is told that Rabbi Honi, the circle maker, was walking on a road and saw a man planting a carob tree. He asked the man how long it will take for the tree to bear fruit, and the man answered that it would take 70 years. Honi asked him if he expected to live another 70 years, and the man answered that he had found fully grown carob trees in the world, and that as his ancestors planted carob trees, he would plant them for his children. The story goes on to become a Talmudic Rip Van Winkle story, but centuries earlier. Once Honi stopped for a meal and dozed off. A grotto formed over him as he slept, and he awoke 70 years later. When he awoke, he saw a man gathering fruit from that same carob tree. He asked the man if he was the man who planted the tree, and the man answered that the tree was planted by his grandfather. Honi had the privilege of seeing the planting and harvesting of the carob tree 70 years later. That's not something most of us will get to see. But our community relations efforts at the Buffalo Jewish Federation are all about investing the time and effort in developing relationships within the broader community in Western New York beyond the Jewish community. Community relations is organized across 5 pillars: K-12, campus, government, interfaith and intergroup, and civic and business. Our K-12 efforts have reached thousands of students through visits by the Simon Wiesenthal Center's Mobile Museum of Tolerance and our Holocaust Education Resource Center Speakers Bureau. We have reached hundreds of teachers through our Kindness Suitcase conference and have now introduced a new Tolerance Taught middle school initiative. We have developed strong relationships with school districts and superintendents throughout Western New York. We have a strong relationship with local campuses and their student bodies, educating them about anti-Semitism and having an open line of communication with respect to their responses to marches, rallies, and other areas of concerns. Our government efforts have included both an annual leadership breakfast for elected leaders and their staff, to which we also have begun inviting K-12 campus and civic and business leaders. We have also met individually with elected officials and their staff. During one such recent meeting, we became aware of a substantial grant that could be used for our Jewish cemeteries. Our interfaith intergroup efforts have included continued involvement in the network of religious communities, as well as direct partnership with faith and ethnic groups throughout Western New York. During the past year, we have significantly increased our connection with the evangelical community. We participated in a Solidarity Sunday event in support of Israel at the Tabernacle, as well as an event at the chapel, with the support of another partner, the Community Foundation for Greater Buffalo. This event brought together a group of Jews and evangelicals together into direct dialogue. As a practicing attorney, I am particularly proud of our developing relationship with the bar associations, not only the Bar Association of Erie County, but also the Women's Bar Association and the Minority Bar Association. We have also joined the Amherst Chamber of Commerce. Our interactions within the Amherst community have resulted in the town government recognizing the work of the Federation in the community. I will close with an oft-used quote from Rabbi Tarfon in Pirkei Avot. It is not incumbent upon you to finish the work, but neither are you free to neglect it. Community relations work is never finished. It is about the process of continuing to build relationships, one conversation at a time. There is an announcement on page 36. The Holocaust Education Resource Organization will have its 2026 awards ceremony on Monday, May the 18th at 7 p.m. Location will be given closer to the event. RSVP at bit.ly/Hero Awards 26. There is an announcement on page 37. The Jewish Community Center of Greater Buffalo will have an event on Monday, April 13th from 7 to 8:30. Outdoor event, Christine Cohen, Her Family's Hidden Past, Nazi Spies Behind Pearl Harbor, based on a true story. From May the 7th until June the 7th, the Jewish Repertoire Theater will play Just for Us by Alex Edelman, Thursdays 7:30 p.m., Saturdays 3:30 p.m. and 7:30 p.m., Sundays at 2 p.m. You have been listening to a reading of articles and features from the April 2026 issue of the Jewish Journal. Your reader has been Marianne. Thank you for listening.